What's up, guys? Buncoats here. This is a Watch Your Realms video, and I am going to go over a new Guild Boss comp that I just threw together. I wanted to try something that was at least somewhat accessible to some folks, and after this weekend, I think this comp is going to be accessible to a lot of you. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the team, and I can just give you a little bit of insight into what everybody's doing in there. So, you can see I used my keys already. Unfortunately, I did try to get this to run on auto, and I was not successful. So it's going to take some tweaking. It is something that I just kind of put together on the fly right now. So we've got a Nightmare team. Obviously, I wanted to get Lust in there, and I did want to use my Silas because I never get to use him in Guild Boss. One thing that I think is interesting. So typically, I run a Nightmare or Infernal team. I've got Valeria and Zilla2 kind of hanging out outside of L1's healing range. When she does use her ultimate, then they are inside the healing range because it does expand. So it's a little complicated for me because the Nightmare faction is composed of so many different fighters. You know, there's a couple tanks. Most of them are fighters. We've got like one marksman and shoot, what's her name? Hatsut, and then also a mage in Greed, and I think that's it. Navras is in there as well, but other than that, it's a lot of melee. And so the challenge is that the way that you position Dolores, you can only at most get 3 tiles of space for fighters to sit on. And so if you are bringing in, let's say, like I want to bring in Valeria. She's actually the highest damage on this comp. I wanted to bring in Lust because she is new. Spoiler alert, not super impressed with her. I think that she has a lot of potential. I don't think I'm really taking full advantage of it right now. And full disclosure, my Lust is not in the greatest. Well, the gear's okay. The gear's not bad. She's got about 375 crit damage. She's crit capped. I think attack is just over 13k, which is on the low side. I prefer it to be significantly higher, but it is what it is. I've got a bunch of gear that is kind of dedicated to my arena team right now and will be there, hopefully keeping me in Apex Overlord for the reset. But basically, what I did have that I could use, I pulled together using to put on Lust here. And so, artifact-wise, I've got her in this in the exclusive. I thought it would be cool. Again, I don't know that this exclusive is all that ideal for what I'm using her for now. I think she might be better off in a Wailing Skull maybe or something like that for right now. Yeah, again, this is all just specific to this comp. This is all just me playing around with it right now and not really trying to do anything that's too outside the box. I do think, actually, one kind of final thought that I had, I think Constance is going to become pretty significant if you are going to be running a primarily Nightmare team and you do want to bring a lot of fighters. That might be something that she may get a lot more play going forward, because if you could bring Constance and then all of a sudden you could then bring, like, what? There's 6 tiles for ground units, so you could bring 5 fighters in Constance. I mean, that might change things, honestly. Then you could, yeah. I mean, I don't have mine skilled up is the problem. I would try it otherwise, but I've only all of my death skills went everywhere but the ultimate, which is like pretty much every time I try to book anybody, I don't get the skills to go where they need to go. I don't really care about any of these other skills, and yet all of the skill points went there. That sucks, but such is life. But with that said, what you can do is something like this. This team, if you are similarly limited and you want to get Lust into your comp right now, you could do something like this. I don't have Aracha, so I actually use Lunaria in this. Essentially, we've got Valeria and Lust are going to be taking the 2 closest melee spots. Deimos is going to be to the left and kind of hanging out in the middle. And then we've got Hex and Silas in there permanently. And then we're going to do a Laurel rotation. That's hard to say. Can you say that 3 times fast? A Laurel rotation. Laurel rotated. I can't do it. So what you want to do is you're going to be rotating Laurel and Torador and Lunaria, essentially. These 2, Lunaria and Torador, they're really not going to do any damage, but I do have some gear on them. It's just not very good. In fact, Torador is in an Invigoration set so that he can buff Lust. But yeah, that is kind of the general idea behind the team. It's nothing groundbreaking, but I thought it was cool to be able to work Lust in so quickly, even though she's not skilled up. Did I show the skills? I don't think I showed the skills. But so I'm still missing 2 in her ultimate, including this plus 5-second duration, which is gigantic. So that's going to cause problems. Her basic, I'm missing 5% damage. And I do have her geared. I think she is. Yeah, that's right. She's in Soulbound Arcana, so it shouldn't really matter that much. I do think, and I've seen a lot of people using Infernal Roar on her. I think it probably depends on the comp what you want to bring her in. If you are leaving her in there permanently and you're not going to be picking her up to help facilitate like a Laurel rotation, I think you're going to want Soulbound Arcana as opposed to Infernal Roar. If you're going to pick her up and put her back down, then you probably do want to use Infernal Roar. But she should get a significant portion of her damage from Sinful Lash, excuse me, especially if you're using the artifact, which causes it to hit twice and basically doubles the damage of that skill. So this is another reason why I think that having more Nightmare Fighters is really going to make her shine. The more Nightmare Ultimates that go off, the more that she is able to use this skill to pump out more damage, and then she's also going to be able to restore more rage. If you can plop her down in the middle and surround her with Nightmare Fighters, she's going to have a much higher chance of hitting Nightmare enemies with her attack and boosting their rage. And I think this will all snowball. So that is my long-term thing. I do plan to put some gear onto Constance and to skill her up after I get Lust fully skilled up. I think that Constance is going to be my next booking to see if I can't put something together where we've got a primarily melee comp in the guild boss, which is something we haven't really seen all that much. I think I may still run Infernal Nightmare. I'll probably bring in one of the few platform DPS will be Twin Feed, and then I'll also be able to bring in Zilla too and whatnot. But then I can surround 4 fighters in the other spots. So it'll be Zilla too. Probably because my roster's limited, I'll probably bring in Valeria, Lust, Deimos, and I don't know, maybe Wrath, I guess. I don't know. Wrath, he's kind of underwhelming, but he is going to boost Lust probably more than any other fighter in the game because he has such a low ultimate cost. So his ultimate cost is only 300, I believe, right? Where are you? Wrath. Did I pass you? I must have passed you. There he is. So yeah, 300 rage. So he's going to be popping that off constantly, especially if you've got decent rage regen. You may not even have to use Laurel if you've got her. If you got Lust, kind of ticking off this extra rage all the time, that may really help. If most of your DPS is coming from melee, she's probably going to be able to help out with that. But I'm a little skeptical of that. I'm not quite there yet, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to play around with it. But in any case, this is the comp that we're going over today. I'll be right back. I'm going to talk you through the run as we do it. And I did end up doing this on my phone and recording it there, and I'm just going to kind of talk over my run as we watch it here. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to drop down all of our DPS. We're going to make sure that we get Invigoration on everybody. You can see Lust goes down in the kind of topmost melee spot there. Valeria is going to go behind, and we're going to drop in all of our other DPS as well. And I'm also going to say this is not a fully optimized run. I think this could be done much better, as evidenced by the fact where we start, I think Lust dies with about 10 seconds left in the run, which is not great. But as you can see, we are essentially just waiting on timing here. I do activate Valeria's first ultimate at about 34 seconds, or 4 minutes and 34 seconds, excuse me. So that's really the ideal time in my experience, at least with my build, to pop her. She just barely lives then, and then you can kind of rotate through. And what I'm doing is I'm using Valeria's ult, followed up immediately by Eloin's ult, and that means that Eloin's healing will actually go through Valeria's ultimate and still be able to heal her. So that is a little creative use of game mechanics, if you will. So that does help out. You'll also notice Eloin is in kind of a rightmost position here. The reason being that I don't actually want her healing Valeria. And the bad thing about that is that she's also not going to be healing either Deimos or Lux, unless she pops her ultimate, in which case she will actually expand her range and will be able to hit both Valeria and Lust. Deimos is kind of on his own. I do at certain points drop a wood elf in order to add some extra healing in there. But other than that, I am just kind of cycling through ultimates here as quickly as possible. When it's advantageous, I do try to line them up as much as possible. Hex, I'm pretty much doing on cooldown. I am trying to wait as much as possible so that I can activate both Dolores' ultimate and Silas's ultimate at the same time. I'm also trying to be cognizant of the fact that if I do drop down Laurel, I don't want to be doing it when, say, like Dolores is at 80% rage or something like that. I would much rather wait and get Dolores' ultimate off, then pop it again, meaning that I can essentially, assuming I get the rage boost from Dolores that Dolores gets when her ultimate expires, that I can actually just do 2 Dolores ultimates in a row that way. And the same principle kind of applies to all the other heroes that are getting the benefit of that inspiration. So, or not that inspiration, the rage boost from Laurel. So that would be, in this case, that's going to be Silas, that's going to be Elwyn, Dolores, and Valeria. I think that there's probably a better way to kind of work around this. I'd like to be able to get Hex in there to be able to get him the boost as well. But at the moment, the way it's set up right now, Valeria is actually the top damage dealer in this comp. I wish I had some better Nightmare heroes to go along with them. If I had, say, like a Lugaru, or if Moonton hadn't boned me over the weekend and given me just one arrogance that arrogance I've been chasing the entire time I've been playing this game, then I think that this comp actually probably has a lot of potential. It's one of the reasons that I think that when I do kind of switch over and try to do a full Nightmare comp, that this is kind of just a shadow of what that could potentially be. But of course, I need extra heroes, and I'm just kind of done spending money on this game for right now. I really don't feel like it makes a whole lot of sense. There's no motivation for me to do so. I've beaten all the content in the game. The only thing that I'm really chasing would be, I guess, like rank 1 in Arena or something like that, although I'm finishing an Apex Overlord now, and I guess Codex stages, but I was able to get triple S on the most recent one, on the that Hellfire Codex. I put out a bunch of videos on that today. I just don't really see what the point of spending is, honestly. And frankly, it's kind of frustrating too, because when I do spend, I don't seem to get what I want. And I'm sure that's just, like confirmation bias on my part. And if I sound a little salty, it's because I am. I feel like I waited a really long time for this Valentine's Day thing, and I didn't get anything that I wanted other than Lust 2. I knew I was going to get anyway. So I am a little bit salty. It is what it is. Life goes on. But this is a pretty accessible comp after this weekend, I'd say. You could easily substitute Deimos in for Wrath. The damage might be a little bit less, but it is what it is. It's not a crazy amount less. And like I was saying before in the intro, Wrath is going to boost Lust damage. I was getting about 15 to 20% more damage having Wrath in there on my Lust than I am with my Deimos in there. And that's purely because she's using that Sinful Lash more and more, which is going to synergize with her artifact. It's just, she is, in this comp, she is not amazing. This is not the comp to like highlight Lust. And my E0 Lust is also kind of a shadow of what she could be. But she synergizes so well with so many different heroes in this game that I do think that she has a lot of potential. So as you can see, we are cutting a little bit close here. We've got 45 seconds left. We're at 47k damage, or almost 47k damage. We're going to be good. I'm saving this Silas ult at the end. I know I'm only going to get one more Silas ult in before the end of the fight. So as long as I click that before, like, say, 22 seconds, then I am good. I don't know that I do that here. There we go. Okay, so now I popped that. Silas does take a second to activate, so you can safely activate him right before Dolores gets to full rage. That's another kind of min-max thing that you can do to try to boost your score a little bit. And yeah, that is pretty much the run right there, guys. We just broke 50k. We'll take a look. I know I pull up the damage stats at the end of this video, so we're going to take a look at that. And you will see that Valeria is actually, spoiler alert, she is the top damage. I know I said that already, so not really a spoiler, or something that I did already spoil. So, but that's the comp. I did put it together kind of on the fly. It is a little unusual. I don't think there's a lot of people that are using Elwyn and Valeria in that way, kind of exploiting the fact that Elwyn can heal Valeria through her ultimate, where she's not supposed to be able to get heals. I think it's because the game feels like it's a heal over time that goes on before the ultimate hits. You have to do it kind of consecutively here. But as you can see, pretty even damage distribution. I've got Valeria at 113k, Silas at 92, Hex at 88, Lust at 66, Deimos at 65. Hex would probably be significantly higher if I was able to, say, get him in Dolores' range, and I was able to get that stuff, and I was able to get that. Hex would probably be a little bit higher if I was able to get him into Laurel's range and get that extra rage regen from that. But, that's something to work on for another day. For right now, I will be pretty happy with this comp. I'm pretty happy with the way that it turned out. Let's take a look at the gear that I have on the heroes. All right, guys, let's take a look at these. He's here. It's a Torador. He has got not a whole lot. He doesn't have good gear, and he's not doing very much damage, and we're not really asking him to. So he has got Invigoration on. That's really the main thing that you should take away from here. He just needs to be able to survive a little bit on his own, which he does okay doing. I think that you could probably work this so that you could actually replace Torador with Wrath, and that would also benefit Lust a little bit more. I don't know that it would be. I think it'd probably end up being kind of a push. It would be about the same as if you had Torador, because Wrath is going to give Lust more damage, but Torador is going to give her more stats. So you'll have to kind of figure out what works best and play around with that. It's probably going to be specific to your account and the way that you're using Torador, but he's really just dropped in there mainly to survive, give Invigoration, and put decreased defense on the boss. Again, if I had A0 Lust, I think that that's another, or excuse me, A1 Lust, so she's putting decreased defense on, then that would actually be superior, because maybe then I'd be able to use Wrath, and it wouldn't be as big of a deal, because we'd have permanent decreased defense on the boss. Once again, thank you, Moonton. I really appreciate you not giving me anything that I wanted this weekend. So let's go back. Let's take a look at Valeria here. None of this is really like my best gear. Again, I've got heroes in Arena right now that I can't take the gear off of without losing my position. So this is what I kind of worked around that. It's not bad gear. It's pretty decent gear. It's just not as good as it could be otherwise. But so she's in Soulbound Arcana. You saw I was popping the ultimate a lot, and she is getting rage boosted from Laurel, so it's magnified even more. So Soulbound Arcana is really, really good on her in this fight if you can pop her ultimate a lot. If you're just waiting to use the ultimate during the shield, not going to be that great. And you're also going to see underwhelming damage, because the damage at the end doesn't actually show the damage you did to the shield, just FYI. So it can be a little misleading. But we've got, about 375 crit damage. What is her attack at? 19k attack. 351 speed, so solid build. Not the best gear that I have, but some of the best gear that I have for sure. Let's take a look. We've got some other ones here that were in there. So Silas is in Infernal Roar, of course. He, again, just a little bit diminished. I usually have him up around 400% crit damage when I'm using him in other places. This is actually my Zillatu's gear. I usually am running Nightmare Infernal, and she is my top damage dealer there, but he got the benefit of it this time, so about 350 speed. We can go in here and take a look. He's got a little under 13k attack, 380% crit damage, 346 speed, 1.2 second attack interval, so pretty decent. Artifact, he's got a rank 25 Spirit Siphon on right now. In the video, he actually had a rank 19 Spirit Siphon on, and I had this 25 one on Hex, so we can actually just switch those around here so that when we look at Hex, it's appropriate. In fact, while we're here, let's take a look at Hex. So, Hex is also in Soulbound Arcana. Are you sensing a theme here? So, Soulbound Arcana is fantastic in this fight, particularly right now. As far as I know, they haven't fixed it. It is still kind of in this broken state where it's not activating the stacks of the increased damage based on the hero wearing the armor, doing the ultimate. It's actually activating anytime anybody on the team is doing an ultimate. So you're getting that 5 stack almost immediately. Which is probably not the way they intended it. They haven't fixed it yet, so I don't know that it is going to be fixed, but I'll take it. So Hex is in decent gear, about I think 385. Is that right? 391 because he's getting 5% from the collection progress. So 390% crit damage, 420 attack speed. He is crit capped, of course. His attack is 13k. I try to keep all of my damage dealers at 13k. Silas is kind of the exception because he ignores all defense when he's doing the majority of his damage, so I'm a little less concerned about getting him enough attack, but everybody else needs to be at least 13k. When I don't have gear committed to other heroes, Hex is typically more around 14.5k damage and similar crit damage, similar attack speed, so the builds aren't that different, but it is worth noting these are lower stats than what I would normally be running him in, meaning that the potential for this team is actually a bit higher if you had like optimal gear, or like my potential for this team would be higher based on my own gear. Let's see, we did Valeria already. Let's take a look at Lust. I showed you her a little bit before. She's a little over crit cap, which isn't ideal. just kind of inefficient. That bugs me a little bit, but it is what it is. Her attack is about 13k. She's got 375 crit damage, 479 attack speed. That wasn't really intentional. It just kind of worked out that way. I think as long as you have her between 350 and 400, you should be good to go. I did mention before, she is in this exclusive artifact that I got from the, what is it, the Burning Desire event or whatever it's called. Dolores, pretty standard gear. Invigoration, could use some more rage regen, but she does have pretty solid attack at 13,483. She's not getting the boost from Twin Fiend like she normally is, so I guess her inspiration is a little diminished as opposed to what it would be if I was running an Infernal team. Who haven't we covered? Deimos. We haven't looked at Deimos. So Deimos is in Infernal Roar. He is, I guess maybe honestly, I think all of these heroes, assuming that the Soulbound Arcana bug that I was just talking about is still in place, probably you want all of them in Soulbound Arcana at this point because it's 50% to all damage as opposed to just 40% basic attack. But, you know, it is what it is. My gear is kind of spread thin at the moment. So he is in, 325 crit damage, crit captive course. He has 424 attack speed, which is nice on him. His ultimate, he gets around to it faster that way, and he also is going to benefit from just having more uptime on a lot of his, let's see, where is it? Rendon Tear, I think it's called tearing. More uptime on tearing this way. So more attack speed's better, but again, as long as it's between 350 and 400, should be more than sufficient. So that should be what you should shoot for if you're trying to duplicate this. Let's see, who have we not talked about? Lunaria is in a Wisdom set. Again, kind of short on gear right now, so this is what I put her in. She's not really doing any damage anyway. I think she did 10 million, 10, 11 million or something like that. She about 310% crit damage. Bad attack, 9615. I didn't really look at this gear. I should have. She could be doing more damage than what she did. I think if her attack was at least over 10k, but I'd say over 13k, I really should have her in. I think I've got a bunch of crit damage pieces on here. Yeah, I've got her in double crit damage. I think if I had her in 2 attack percent, 1 crit damage, it would probably be better. Or just, however you get the stats. I think ultimately you really want her this number to be up around more like plus 9,000, so you're getting between 12 and 13k attack. You like to shoot for 13k, like I was saying, but on these epics, the base stats just aren't high enough in a lot of cases. I mean, she has only got 3,000 attack. It's also worth noting she's not fully awakened. She is only A1. I have never really bothered to put any points in there because before this, she'd only been used as a Faction Wars champion. I was really impressed by the fact that she was able to boost Silas to respectability in this mode. I mean, he's not putting out like 200 million damage like you see in some comps, but she's also not Aracha, so there is that. Elowen is also an invigoration. It's not the most amazing gear, but a little under 400 speed, 168 healing effect, about 16k attack, I think, 17k attack apparently. So she's got good stats. And Laurel is just like this in an invigoration set. Probably could have put her in like a Spirit Horn or something like that. That way I could have used her ultimate immediately when I dropped her down. Benefited from some rage immediately. But she does what she does. She's really there just to be dropped down and then pulled back out immediately. So that is that. So that's the comp, guys. Just some something to, kind of like a first draft of a Lust comp. I think we've got a long ways to go. I think there's going to be a lot of really creative ways that you can use this hero. So I'm really excited to see what the community comes up with. I'm going to keep sharing my stuff. Hopefully you do too. If you've got any thoughts, please share them in the comments. Let me know what you think. And I hope you got what you wanted this weekend. I certainly didn't. So yeah, I'm bitter. Deal with it. Hope you have a good weekend. Bye, guys.